Namaskar. Good morning to all. I take this opportunity to congratulate National Institute of Disaster Management and National Museum, New Delhi, for this joint venture of holding this webinar on a relevant topic, disaster risk management. I also take this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts on this topic. I am Professor Ambika Patel, Head Department of Museology, Faculty of Fine Arts, the Maharaja Sajirao University of Baroda, Gujarat. Yes, as far as the topic is concerned, disaster risk management, it is very relevant and also very relevant in terms of the museum sector, and we are emphasizing museum sector in that context. The first thing comes into my mind when we talk of disaster risk management and museums. The first question comes to my mind, basically the point is, are we prepared, are our museums, are the people in our museums, the staff in the museums, and the structure of the museums, are we prepared for facing disasters, or are we aware of the preparedness which should be done to deal with such situations? In terms of, does our museums have a proper disaster management plan? If not, this is the situation we really have to think seriously in those directions, in those dimensions. The first thing, all of our museums, whether it is small or big, whether it is government or private, trust, university museum, rural museum, smaller museums, house museums, whatever of its kind and scope and jurisdiction, all museums should have a well-designed, well-drafted disaster preparedness plan. So the disaster management, which is a preparedness plan, preparedness towards prevention, preparedness before, during, and after the event, after the disaster, if it happens. So preparedness in terms of getting prepared for facing such situation in terms of collection. So taking care of our collection, saving our collections, our human resources, and our structure, which is the museum structures. If we have a proper plan, if each of our museum have a properly designed layout plan with protocols and procedures as guidelines, it will be easy for them to handle the situation because they know what to do and how to do and when to do. At the same time, so we all know preparation, which is the preparedness, prevention, responses, and recovery are the four main pillars in this major aspects of disaster risk management. But if you have a prepared plan, then things are more streamlined, things are more focused, people know what to do. At the same time, yes, all of the museums should focus on a condition mapping. It takes me to the point when our Honorable Prime Minister talking about mapping the issues related with the risk. So each one of our museums, each one of our cultural sector institutions should have preparedness to assess. It means the risk assessment, assessing the issues, how is the structure, which are the, it's a kind of a self-evaluation of the collection, the structure, and its condition. So a condition mapping of the structure, which are the issues. Yes, again, looking at the other dimensions of where are these museums located, and these museums are in earthquake-prone areas. Do we have to have, yes, then we really have to do a regional mapping in terms of mapping of the museums and their locations in terms of the, prone areas, the zones which has been earthquake resistance and what are their gradations. The museums which are located nearby water sources, which are nearby the rivers. So a geographical mapping is needed as far the location is concerned, and a condition mapping of a structure is needed, and also a preparedness plan for the staff to understand to follow and practice, so that mentally the people who are dealing with the museums, the staff, will be prepared, to face such situations. Coming to the point, again emphasizing on the point mentioned by Honorable Prime Minister in his 4 points, in his 10 points, the few of the points which I would advocate is the collaborations between various institutions. Here comes the significance of National Institute of Disaster Management, spreading its network, spreading its hands towards collaborative programs with, higher education institutions like ours, where in my department of museology, we train the future museum curators under the master's program of museum studies, where in our course curriculum, we have a small part related with the disaster risk assessment, disaster risk management. But yes, in collaboration with the institutes of national level and the state level, we could collaborate, we could come out with programs and workshops and design modules and small scale programs for capacity building. Here comes again one of the other points which Honorable Prime Minister was emphasizing on the capacity building. Capacity building in terms of regional capacity building, where higher education institutions, academic institutions, and NGOs playing a big role, hand in hand with the organizations like National Institute of Disaster Management and the Institutes of Disaster Management at the state level. I would like to refer, I'm fortunate enough to be in touch with the state level disaster department, management department, where our Honorable Chief Minister is the chairperson. So we are looking forward for collaborative programs and designing program for museum professionals, possibly start with preparedness plans and helping the smaller museums to come up with a small scale plan for themselves, making them to understand what they have, what are their risks, what are they facing, and how could they deal with it. So that's happening parallelly. So I think we all are contributing in our small scale of contributions to make this disaster risk management into the next level. So the 2019 plan, the disaster management guideline which has come, is very, very helpful for museum professionals and also for everyone in the society, because it gives a very general perspective of as a kind of a guideline. Coming to the point of role of ICOM, International Council of Museums, we have many organizations which internationally working. So ICOM play a big role because ICOM has a disaster risk management standing committee who advises and extend their help to member countries and the institutions in the member countries to face disaster issues. They usually comes up with quick advices and recovery plans and programs and support system for those countries who are not able to, their capacity, national capacity level exceeds and they are not able to handle the situation, and some situations where the disaster went out of control. So ICOM come forward to help them out, and then, with their projects, with their financial support and advices. And I'm sure that one of the speaker, Mr. Rohit Jigyasu, part of the ICROM, and then he was part of ICOMOS for many years. So you will be getting more dimensions and more depth of understanding in terms of disaster management and the contributions of other organizations as well. So when I look at, as an academician, looking at the disaster management, an academician related with training museum professionals, future museum professionals, I strongly believe that disaster risk management should be part of our curriculum. At the same time, we have that, but at the same time, we could modulate it into better perspective so that we could train the museum professions who is already there in service, so we can come up with some in-service small-scale modules and programs. And also we could extend that into the further spheres of, further institutes of cultural sector. Yes, definitely, again, coming up the point of collaboration and networking where, National Museum, National Institute of Disaster Management and the state institutes and state level disaster management departments, which has been framed under this regulation, should have more, networking, and then possibly we could do better in future. At this point, I would like to wish the participants to take maximum benefit of the sessions which is coming up. But I also wanted to share one small experience which I would share, that at some of the museums I visited in Los Angeles, LA. LA is an area which is heavily earthquake prone area. The local county museum at LA, I could visit, and then what I found was even the display technique they were using was also, has a compatibility with risk management, reducing the risk in terms of, using the material for display cases and also for display pedestals, where the vibrations, the materials are of to some extent, materials used were, resisting the vibrations. And also there is a kind of big size, and the designs is made in such a way where those pedestals will not give more vibration, so that the objects, the heavy sculptural objects which is displayed, will not have damage because of the fall. So the reduction of the damage and taking care of the risk, right, even from the display setup, and the storage. Yes, definitely the storage in terms of, keeping them, racking them, and also but tying it up with the wood cotton ribbon, so that there won't be kind of abrasion and kind of this thing, if at all it gives some kind of a vibration or maybe some shaking, and then attached with the wall, so that if something comes, it will not fall off. So there are small steps which is taken by various museums in terms of the collection when it is in display and when it is in storage. At the same time, we also should have condition assessment and mapping of the structures of our museums, whether it is a small rural museum or a big museum, and also training our people. So I think National Institute of Disaster Management play the big role in capacity building and then extending the networking and making this dimension of disaster risk management as a key focus in terms of disseminating the know-how and capacity building. And also we could think of some directions where the higher education institutions like ours can think of multidisciplinary research, where incorporating this, which also Honorable Prime Minister has been emphasizing on his 10-point agenda. So, and also I think the local capacity development, where the indigenous knowledge systems could be utilized for training the people at the local level. So, for the small museums and the smaller localities where a big instrument will not be reaching in time, definitely could be take the benefit of the local knowledge system and the wisdom and the practices to save their material, their life, and their structure. And also, I would like to emphasize on the point which Honorable Prime Minister was emphasizing on application of digital technology, mobile technology, and social media for disaster response. So, outreaching the people who are needy and in real time, if not in real time, at least, on a faster rate of reaching them, updating them, and getting the feedback and the responses, and then accordingly taking measures and steps. I think, even the higher educations, we can work with developing apps and then softwares and other mechanisms for digital technologies and application of the digital technology. And we all face now COVID. We know how the challenges came to us and then how we faced it. So it's not like it is not possible. We could do, and then with collaborative joint ventures, definitely we could take this further with a positive spirit. And I thank you for this and wish the participant take the maximum benefit of this webinar, and looking forward for more such collaborative webinars and discussions, and maybe designing some modules and programs for wider perspective. Thank you so much.